Hey, ever played Little League? That's one thing. Coaching it, whole nother matter.
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
Hey, look, by the time you get to Thursday of the 4th of July week, it feels like vacation time, and we're going to have kind of a conversation about things not necessarily issue tonight. We all take some time off, you know, and by the way, you probably see this program again prior to the 4th of July holiday because it's a fun conversation. And usually, at least one of the two of my guests tonight are in here grinding away with me, trying to figure out the world challenges, the politics of the city of Providence, and all of that. But tonight, a different perspective from Dan McGowan, working it with the Little League team, and we'll meet one of his staffers coming up, also a member of the Eyewitness News, WPRI. What's the name of our company these days?
Media General
Next
family. Star, that's what it is. Yeah.
The soon-to-be.
Right.
So it's hard for us to keep score. Never mind a Little League game. How are you, my friend? Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You look good out there on the field.
You know, it's and I was wearing the Channel 12 shirt, so good branding, and you know, it's a good time. I've done it now for 8 years or something like that, all in Providence.
You've been coaching for 8 years.
For 8 years, yeah.
Heck, I'd still be IDing you at a bar, for heaven's sake.
I mean, probably deserve it.
It's like, are you, what?
I think the parents do that whenever, you know.
How old were you when you started coaching Little League?
God, 20, 23, 22.
All right, so
yeah.
do the math on that.
Yeah.
You'd think, you're going to do a whole show talking about Little League coaching? The truth of the matter is, it really is a fascinating exercise, isn't it?
It totally is. It's you get to go out there, you get to work with, especially in we coach in Providence, and you get to work with kids who are it's a diverse group of kids. It's from kids who are having maybe a rough time growing up, or kids who are doing relatively well off, and you get to teach something that I'm sure you grew up playing baseball. I grew up playing baseball. It meant a lot. It's really fun. It's good teamwork, good time.
Really, it really means a lot. It's so funny that we got a little guy in our family, my wife's grandson, my step-grandson, if you can do the math on that, had a semifinal championship game a couple of weekends ago in Western Massachusetts, and I went up, and it has all the trimmings. They've got the PA going.
Oh, yeah.
They got the whole
national
thing.
Anthem.
The national anthem. They got the fans out there. They're selling concessions, the whole thing. The only thing that was missing from the entire thing, a completely fielded ball. An actual, 6-3 put out.
Right.
There, I actually counted. There was not one. Now, this is not the Little League. This is not the 10-12 or 11-12.
Right.
This is the 5. I think they're 8 and 9 years old, which is in that wheelhouse.
Generally, my league, yeah.
But
yeah.
there were some legitimate base hits. Mm-hmm. There was they do a little stealing. They are pitching, and the fastball loops a little less.
Sure.
Right. But there was not a single put out in the game. And I just thought, but it's classic.
Right.
It's classic. They all look the part. They got the gum going.
Ready positions.
They got ready positions. After that, well.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen,
yeah.
And not much.
Well, I'll tell you, what we do is we do half the season as coach pitch, and then we go to kid pitch for the second half of the season. The games by the middle of coach pitch, the kids are ready to go. Defense is actually playing well. Balls are getting hit. Then it gets back to kid pitch, start to see walks, things like that. By the end, though, the kids are ready to go. You get a few plays, you're right, and most plays don't end up there, but you hit the ball, the kids know it when they win, they know when they lose.
What's the magic of coaching Little League?
God,
people?
It's.
You have girls?
We do.
Yeah.
We do. Yeah, we have one. This year we had one girl on the team.
And they're always usually good.
Always.
The girls are always good because they're playing with the boys.
And they grow a little bit quicker than boys, right? So they're a little bit more. They're a little bit more ready to play. The magic behind it. Look, it's a. We know, and Jesus would say this when he comes on in a little while. We know that they're kids. We know that we want to teach them everything. But watching them have success, obviously winning, it's fun. It's cool to watch. But watching a kid who's never hit the ball, watching a kid, catch the ball in the air for the first time, those moments, They're really special. Honestly, I tear up when I watch it happen.
And you've been doing this for 8 years.
For 8 years, yeah.
So that's a commitment, Danny. I mean, that's what drives you.
It gets me away from talking to you about politics. No, it is. It's nice to be able to get away from work a few times a week during the spring and summer and be able to get out and do something. Again, I played baseball growing up. I loved it. It mattered a great deal. And to be able to kind of instill that in kids, and again, all that teamwork, all that stuff that, you're kind of, other than your parents and other than the school teacher, you're that sort of adult in a kid's life that's consistent, that is there when they're doing something they like. That feels good. It's fun.
So you've coached for 8 years. So now you bump into kids in the community who you had.
I'll tell you a great story.
Back then.
Kid that I coached for several years, I just found out recently, made the all-state wrestling team this year in high school. You know how cool that is to find out? I haven't talked to him in a long time, but I've read in the paper. That is awesome. A kid that went, isn't playing baseball anymore, but went on, continued to play team sports. You'd see that all the time. Just that first wave of kids who were maybe 8 or 9 now, are getting ready to graduate high school, going to college. Yeah, you gotta run into them all the time, especially now being a little bit more on TV, things like that. People start to recognize you a little more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're your kids are 5 to 10.
5 to 10. It's a huge.
That doesn't. If I can offer any kind of wow, why? Is it budget?
No, it's not budget. It's numbers. And if you look at Little League baseball across the country, you're seeing way down. And in Providence in particular, there's a bunch, 5, 6 different Little Leagues across Providence. So in our Little League in Mount Pleasant, numbers are definitely lower. And so you do need to push kids up that would normally be playing T-ball. And then, near the end, 8, 9, you see 8-year-olds go up to the 12-year-old leagues at times if they're competitive enough. So it's an issue,
it's
but
a big growth gap between those two
I'll tell
ages.
you, we made the championship game this year. Last inning, runner on second, a 5-year-old on second base. One of my oldest kids gets a base hit up the middle. That's the winning run. There's nothing. Kids picking each other up. I mean, that is awesome.
Well, a 10-year-old is huge to a 5-year-old.
Huge, yeah. It's dangerous. It is.
Yeah, on the field it might be dangerous, but are you telling me that the actual relationships come together?
It does. I'll tell you the secret. Never ask any kid their age, right? So when you play the name game at the start of the season.
I thought you don't ask women their age.
Well, never ask a 5-year-old the age when they have a 10-year-old on the team. That's my rule. It works, because then kids don't realize it until the end of school, the end of the school year, when one kid says, I'm going to 6th grade next year, and then the other one's like, I'm going to 1st grade. That's when they notice. But they like us by then. So
right. When we come back, you'll meet the assistants. Both these guys actually played in the city. We'll talk about what they learned and what they've passed on. Stay with us. Joined by the co-coach, Jesus Mendoza, who also works in the IT, that's the technology department. This is the guy who say, I don't have my password. Not that I ever do that, right?
No.
Well, I do it enough for the both of us.
Yeah.
So you guys are co-coaching a Little League team.
That's right, yeah.
All right. Is the season over now?
It is, yeah.
All right.
We just won our championship.
So Lexi Chris, my esteemed producer, thought it'd be a great idea for us to talk about this stuff, and I think it is. A little behind the scenes with Dan, a guy that you count on for the politics of Providence. It's nice to know that somebody who works in the politics of Providence, covering the issues of the day, has an on the ground feeling for the community. You're both city kids, correct?
Well, I didn't grow up here. No, I grew up in Connecticut.
Yeah, but
grew up right outside of New Haven. So
yeah, so it's a
as city of a kid as you can be in Connecticut.
But there's a plus for you being seen in the community as a non-working journalist.
100%, and it matters. We've talked about this before. I live in Providence. Obviously I cover it. I really care about being a community member. I like volunteering. I like being seen in the community as more than just the guy who's going to take you down.
You've been a city resident?
Yes, I grew up in the city of Providence from 10 years old up until last year. I moved out last year. I live in North Providence now.
Oh, all the way.
Yeah, all the way.
All the way to North Providence.
Yep.
Mayor Lombardi can have you.
You played ball in the city?
I played at Emerald Little League from the age of 10 to 12. And then I moved up to the junior league.
Look at that.
That is amazing.
Yeah, that's me.
That's sweet.
Yeah, that was when I was 10 years old.
That's a good look, man.
At Emwood Little League.
Yeah.
So, it was fun. Then we moved up to the juniors. 13 through 16, I played also at Emwood Little League. But at the same time, I was also playing at Mount Pleasant High School. I was doing American Legion, I was doing AAU, I was doing fall ball. I was, doing it all.
So you're a big baseball guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, he's like a good athlete too. Playing on a softball team. We spent a lot of time together, probably too much.
Yeah, this season.
Excellent softball player.
How deep did you go in your baseball career?
I played all the way through high school, played Legion, played summer ball and everything. Never played college, wasn't good enough.
Yeah, it's a great time in your life as a kid, playing ball.
And for me, it was even more special because I came to this country when I was 10 years old. And baseball from the Dominican Republic, and baseball was like the one thing I knew.
Right.
It's like, all right, let's go out and play baseball.
It's even bigger there.
Oh yeah, that's
well, I mean, baseball's America's pastime, maybe superseded by football. We can have that debate.
Probably now. Yeah.
Probably now it's football.
Yeah, at least on a ratings basis. But in the Dominican,
it's the national sport.
Right.
That's everybody grows up and it's like I want to be a baseball player. But for me, I realized that baseball was not my thing. I probably wasn't going to be a professional. Like around the age of 15, talking to one of my coaches, he's like, maybe you should focus in school a little more than what you were doing now. It's like, yeah, probably not going to make it to the.
Was that tough to hear?
It wasn't tough. It's like because I knew that coach from like the age of 12. When I was 12 years old, I knew that coach already, and I knew that once I got up to the next level, I was going to be playing for him. So we had that bond, and till this day, I still talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
I know his entire family. We spent many nights at his house before we were getting ready to go to a tournament.
That relationship with him is life important.
Yeah, I mean,
what did you learn?
I learned from him. One of the things that really stayed with me was be yourself. Don't always listen to what other people tell you to do, like to be and stuff like that. It's like I always stayed true to who I was, even when I was out on the field. I never tried to show off, like, oh, look, I could do this. Oh, you could do that, And now I see kids that I used to play with, and they're like, oh, my God, you went to college, you got a career, you did this, you did that. Mm-hmm. And they're like, I wish I had done that. I was more focused on, being cool at school, getting the girls, doing this, doing that. But, everyone had their own experience with Little League and playing with this coach.
What was yours?
Like I said, grew up in a pretty competitive town, and baseball was the thing that everybody did, and it was a place where, when I was 11 or 12 years old, I was pretending to be the best player on the high school team. I wasn't pretending to be like Derek Jeter. I wanted to be, the best player on the high school team, things like that. So playing that was really obviously it was really competitive, but then having coaches in your life who, like Jesus said, sticking with you. I mean, I had the same coaches from probably 10, 11 years old all through, ended up being our summer ball coaches. And so, we were at a bachelor party just recently, and a bunch of dads there who coached us as growing up, talking about, sharing stories. Remember when you did this? Remember that? It sticks with you forever. And I think Jesus and I both hope it works for us in coaching in the community. And in some cases, it has for me at least.
Like, especially one of the kids, we had a 5-year-old on the team. That 5-year-old, when he came in, we'll put him out on the field. The first thing he wanted to do was go on the grass. He's like, oh my God, the grass is so green. Always playing with the grass. So, once I came up to him and said, hey, I need you to stay off the ground. And then the dad's like, a Latino dad, he's like, well, try and get him to stay off the ground. I was like, all right. What my coach used to make me do whenever we were doing stuff that he didn't like was run laps. So I told him, hey, every time we see you on the ground, after the game, you're going to run a lap. And he looked at the field. He's like, this is a big field. I don't think I could run around the whole field. So from there on out, the whole entire season, he never went on the ground. He did not. And when he scored that game-winning run, a 5-year-old, aggressive base running, send him home.
Third base coach, by the way, sent him all the way.
You're waving him?
Yeah, I was like, go, go, go. So at the end of the, we were celebrating, we're done, and I said, hey, you could go on the ground now. He's like, no, I don't want to.
Because I don't want to run a lap.
He's like, I don't want to. So he climbed the fence instead.
Oh my goodness, that is that.
But it's
that
one
is
of those
too much.
things. You just remember that, and then you develop a relationship with some of the parents. Yeah. For us, it was good that I was on the team because we had a couple of parents who, they were Dominicans or Puerto Ricans.
Just gonna say that it's huge.
It's
Major thing.
communicating with the parents. It's like, all right, I speak fluent Spanish,
Right.
so it's really simple to communicate with them instead of having the kid translate to the parent, and then the kid might say something wrong or might get the time wrong. When I could just go, hey, we're
Right.
being here at such time.
Do you speak Spanish?
No, I wish. I try. I'm taking classes, working on it.
Are you?
Yeah, it's important.
Well, you know what? I used to have a philosophical stand against it, and then I made a commitment, a New Year's resolution about 10 years ago, and I'm 0 for 9.
0 for 9.
Yeah, it's something that's a whole nother conversation, a whole nother show about giving into the bilingual culture, and whether it is giving in or whether it's just a smart thing to do or
Well, I'll
or
tell
whatever.
you, and one of the things Jesus does a great job of is talking to kids in Spanish when he thinks they need it, maybe to push them along a little, but then also bringing it back to English, things like that. I think it does show. I mean, it's a credit to Jesus to be able to do it. So
So one thing that where Spanish came into play, so when I was in Elmwood Little League, we made the All-Star team. We were playing, I think, against Lincoln for the All-Star for the state championship, so then we traveled down to New Jersey. I think 8 out of the 14 players in the team spoke Spanish. So when we were out on the field, instead of yelling stuff in English to each other, we just yelling in Spanish. Up until like the 5th inning, it was like, oh, it was good. And then the coach caught on to that, the other coach. So then the umpires all got together and they're like, well, guys, you guys cannot speak in Spanish.
What?
Because, it seems like you guys are giving signs away and stuff like that. And, the coach was mad. Our coach was really mad.
At the 5 to 10-year-old level.
No.
This is you.
This is when I was playing.
Oh, got you.
we don't
Yeah.
have signs.
Yeah,
Our
but that's
signs-
ridiculous. I mean,
When
I
I was
missed that one. I'm
playing,
sorry.
and it was really funny. And some of the kids that we had at that time, some of them only spoke Spanish. So it's like, all right, what do we do here? So the umpires ended up saying that, if there's a kid that does not speak English, then we could go and speak to him and say, hey, this is what's going on, but we could not be yelling in Spanish across the field. And yeah, that was really
That's
funny.
something that actually, and how long ago was that?
I would think it was like 2004,
Let me tell you
2005.
something. In 2016, that'd be a
story.
That'd be a tweeted viral story.
That's right.
There'd
Absolutely.
be a litigation.
Oh, yeah.
There'd be radio talk
Right.
shows.
That's right.
On
We'd be talking in a different setting about it.
It's like, in fact, coming up tomorrow on the radio, when we come back, what you have to do to manage little ones, because it's delicate sometimes. They lose. Just a casual summer night here on Dan York's State of Mind, talking with Jesus Mendoza, who is an IT guy here in the building, and Dan McGowan, who's a reporter here in the building. You know him from WPRI.com and, of course, on the air covering the city of Providence. They're Little League coaches together and had a successful season.
That's right. Won the championship.
Yes. Is winning the championship important?
To us, absolutely. Maybe more so than to the kids.
Yes.
Well, that's
that's
what
how we do it.
the balance is. I think it's healthy for you guys to have been excited about winning a championship. We have a kind of a tough trend in the last 10 years or so of everybody participates, and listen, there are rules that you've got to abide by. Everybody does have to participate, but winning is still something that you've got to aspire to, correct?
Absolutely. I think
There's a balance, but if you lose that,
No, I think it's incredibly important because it's part of life, winning and losing, obviously, whether it's getting into schools, whatever, getting a job, things like that. Those are winning and losing moments. They matter, and they start at usually the youth sports level. I think it's incredibly important. Look, we're not crazy about it. We let the kids have fun. We're not big yellers, things like that. But I can tell you in that last couple innings in a pretty close game, those kids knew what was on the line, and they cared just as much as we cared, for sure. And the parents cared too.
What have you learned about dealing with little ones?
I learned that sometimes just because I'm able to do it, that does not mean they could do it. So at first, this was my second year doing it. My first year, it was tough getting used to, all right, their skill level is not where I want it to be. So how do I go about this? So I started looking at the way Dan, he spoke to the kids. Sometimes the kid's like, oh no, I can't do it. And Dan will come and sit on the floor with the kid and say, hey, listen, you could do this. We're gonna go and do this together. Standing on the batter's box. Great idea. Hey, look, we're gonna make train tracks. So you make a train track and then you put your foot here and your foot here. Like, that was an awesome idea. And learning from that this year, there was one player who, really liked to hit, but could never hit the ball when it was the kid pitch. So before every at bat, I used to, if we had the chance, I used to just go out of the field and throw soft toss. It hit a couple of foul balls, struck out, that's fine, but we still kept doing it. The last 3 games, I think it was, hits. And the last game, he actually got a nice hit, and that hit ended up scoring the game-tying run. And then next thing you know, another person got another hit. And so I learned, just everyone learns at their own pace. They're little kids. Let's let them have fun. Even though we want to win, we want them to feel like, they're the best they could be. But we want them to have fun. Fun comes before everything. Then after that, all right, let's play baseball.
The age-old question, Little League parents, how are they like these days?
You know what? I've had good ones and not so good ones. I would say this year was as good as I've ever had. The key is if they trust you, and it's not even, if you practice too much, things like that. It's actually, they want their kids, they want you to be a little bit of a babysitter, but they also want to see that they're, if they're paying 60, 70, 80 bucks to play, they want to see their kids get better. And so they're tough. I mean, there's no question. You see it all the time of people, complaining, yelling. I mean, I've definitely had those type of fights, but generally speaking, especially this year, I mean, we had a wonderful group of parents, really cared. A lot of 2-parent households, which is a big deal in baseball, right? Because playing catch, if you don't come to play baseball with us, if you don't know how to play catch, that's a big barrier, obviously.
Sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, some of the parents, I used to interact more to the parents than Dan during the game. And some of them, after the game was over, they will come, all right, let's help you put away the equipment. I never had that before.
Right.
Never seen a parent come in, oh yeah, let's help you. And they'll tell their kid, oh, go help. Some of them would come up, hey, when are we going to practice again? Sorry, I got to check my schedule. I also have a full-time job. But, they really wanted their kids to be out there.
It breaks the, a few bad apples don't spoil the whole
That's
bunch.
right.
And
And
for
then
the most part.
they bought us a few beers at the Paw Sox game when we took them to the game. So it was
Very
fun.
nice. Well, I thought maybe a few beers, for the first base coaching box. So
They gave us champagne for
And of course, you're good on the umpires. As a former umpire on many levels,
Oh no, I work the umpires relentlessly.
on the 5 to 10 level,
Big time.
you're still working the umpires.
I'm throwing the ball in the air when I'm upset. I let them know.
Yeah, we have to.
What?
You have to. The thing is, sometimes...
No, you don't have to.
Well, okay, so you have a 5-year-old
Why didn't I
up
ask
to
this
bat.
question at the top?
So you have a 5-year-old up to bat, and he's calling a ball that's like right at his head a strike. It's like, come on, what are you doing?
We've
By
never
the
been
way,
thrown out.
have you ever?
we've never
well,
been
that's
thrown
great
out, but
news.
what are you doing?
Have you ever
Like,
thought about what it
there's
is for a
strike zone.
pitcher to have to throw to a 5-year-old?
Big problem.
At 5, they should be swinging. Guys, great stories. Congratulations on what you're doing for the community. We'll wrap up when we come back. Sorry about that umpiring thing. That reminds me, we need to do an umpiring show coming up soon. So if you are one, let us know. Thanks for watching. Good work by those guys, huh? See ya.